Welcome back to Really Haunted Places. Tonight's top 7 ghost stories will take you to haunted places in Canada. This sanatorium near Kamloops, BC, was built in 1907 to house patients suffering from tuberculosis. The building was closed briefly in 1958, reopening again a year later with its primary focus on those with a mental illness. It remained open until 1983 when it eventually closed again. If you visited this abandoned building today, you'd likely witness any number of paranormal reports. Those brave enough to investigate have often seen what looks to be the outline of figures standing at the windows. People have also heard children's crying from the 8th floor, once the pediatric wing, and floating orbs throughout. Serving as Ottawa's jail for over 100 years, the prison closed in 1972. A year after that, it reopened as a hostel and has served as an ideal stopover for budget travelers worldwide. Due to its past use as a jail, there's been a lot of personal turmoil, including 3 executions, including the infamous hanging of Patrick J. Whelan, who was sentenced to death after being found guilty of murdering Thomas D'Arcy McGee, one of Canada's Fathers of Confederation. Guests and staff have witnessed so much activity at this location, including disembodied voices, being touched by unseen hands, and apparitions. One of the apparitions is said to be Whelan, who has been known to appear throughout the building but, most unnervingly, at the foot of guests' beds. Undoubtedly one of Canada's most photographed lighthouses, Peggy's Point Lighthouse in Nova Scotia is popular with a certain ghost too. People have seen an apparition of a lady in a blue dress over the years, standing on the edge of the rocks about to jump. There are also 2 sides to this story. Legend says the woman was an immigrant who left her children in Europe, or she was shipwrecked nearby where her children died. In an effort to cheer her up, her new husband danced on the slippery rocks and fell and died. She would return a short time later to the spot where he died, then proceeded to walk into the water where she disappeared, her body never to be seen again. There has been a lot of paranormal activity witnessed at Dunvegan Provincial Park in Alberta. The park is one of the province's earliest fur trade posts, and the Hudson's Bay Company House, St. Charles Church, and rectory buildings are still intact. The first ghost is of a woman with a lantern on North Hill, where she died waiting for her husband in a snowstorm. A priest has also been seen in the rectory, and people have felt watched across the entire park. The government house was the residence of the former Lieutenant Governor of Saskatchewan. Today, guests can take a tour of its history and distinctive architecture for themselves. If you're lucky or unlucky, you might bump into one of its resident ghosts. One ghost named Howie may be waiting for you, as his apparition has been seen on many occasions, mainly in the kitchen. He is believed to be the ghost of the former cook of Archibald Peter McNabb, who was the Lieutenant Governor of Saskatchewan from 1936 to 1945. Howie is also the source of disembodied footsteps, repeatedly opening and shutting doors, and moving objects. Other reports within the building include people seeing faces in the mirror next to their own and the mysterious sounds of children laughing and babies crying in the dead of night. Unexplained cold spots are often experienced mainly in what was the nursery wing of the house. Designated a National Historic Site in 2000, Mount Pleasant Cemetery is a haunted playground filled with incredible architecture. Located in Midtown Toronto, the cemetery's paths are frequented by joggers and visitors, who walk past the graves of famous businessmen, politicians, and athletes. Paranormal activity within the cemetery includes unusual noises, electrical issues, and strange light patterns. One employee even had an invisible force push him off a tractor. On Vancouver Island, the Maritime Museum of British Columbia is located in a former courthouse building, which also included the island's first gallows. Apparently many of the men hanged were buried on the grounds, which is why dragging chains have been heard in Helmkin Alley, beside the museum. Inside is the haunted lifeboat, connected to the 1908 Valencia steamship wreck. The lifeboat was discovered years later full of skeletons, before disappearing and reappearing empty 27 years later. I want to thank you for listening to our top 7 ghost stories. And until then, good night.